In a world that is increasingly characterized by distractions, external pressures, and a constant barrage of noise, both literal and metaphorical, developing an unshakable mind has become not only a rare skill, but also an invaluable one. The modern world pulls us in countless directions, bombarding us with messages, demands, and expectations that can easily overwhelm our senses and cloud our judgment. Amidst this chaos, most people go through life on autopilot, reacting to circumstances and external events rather than actively shaping their responses. They allow their emotions, often influenced by external factors, to dictate their thoughts and actions, leading to a life that is more about surviving than thriving. But what if there were a way to break free from this cycle? What if you could transform your mind into an impenetrable fortress? One so fortified that no external force, no matter how strong or overwhelming, could shake your inner peace and resolve. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who lived in times of great turmoil, uncertainty, and adversity, understood the power of the mind in shaping the course of one's life. They were masters of living through hardship, discomfort, and chaos, and they created a mental framework that allowed them to rise above life's storms with grace, dignity, and resilience. The Stoics recognized that while we cannot control the external world, we can always control our inner world, our thoughts, perceptions, and reactions. Their philosophy was not just about surviving difficult times, but about thriving regardless of what the world throws at us. The formula they crafted was simple, yet powerful. A mindset rooted in wisdom, self-discipline, and clarity. And this formula is as relevant today as it was centuries ago, yet far too many of us ignore it, often only realizing its value when it's too late. By adopting the Stoic mindset, you can build a mind so resilient, so grounded in your values that nothing in the external world, whether it be challenges, setbacks, or pressures, can break you. This is not about denying or suppressing your emotions, nor is it about pretending that life's difficulties don't affect you. Rather, it's about cultivating an unstoppable force within, a mind that is equipped with the strength to endure hardship without losing its sense of purpose or clarity. The Stoic approach teaches us that our power lies not in avoiding or denying discomfort, but in our ability to face it head-on and emerge stronger, wiser, and more resolute. This mental fortitude is built upon understanding and accepting that we do not control the world around us. We do not control other people's actions, their opinions, or the circumstances we find ourselves in. But what we can control, what we always have control over, is how we respond to these external forces. The Stoic philosophers believed that by focusing on what is within our control and letting go of what is not, we can cultivate a peace of mind that remains undisturbed, regardless of what is happening in the world. This concept forms the cornerstone of the Stoic formula for building an unshakable mind. Acceptance of what is beyond our control, coupled with active responsibility for what is within our power. At the heart of Stoicism is the practice of mindfulness, of being fully aware of our thoughts and emotions and learning to detach from them when necessary. The Stoics were not advocating for an emotionless life, but rather for one where emotions do not control us. By practicing mindfulness, we can observe our emotional responses without allowing them to dictate our action. This gives us the power to choose how we react, instead of simply reacting impulsively or based on automatic emotional triggers. It's about training the mind to rise above the immediate, often chaotic, reactions to the world and respond from a place of thoughtfulness and wisdom. Another core Stoic principle is the idea of viewing life's challenges not as obstacles but as opportunities for growth. The Stoics believed that discomfort, adversity, and hardship are not things to be feared or avoided. They are the crucibles in which our inner strength and wisdom are forged. Rather than seeing failure or hardship as something to be feared, the Stoics encouraged embracing these moments with an open mind, knowing that every challenge is an opportunity to refine our character and deepen our understanding of ourselves. By reframing challenges in this way, we can develop the resilience necessary to face any storm without being swept away by it. The Stoic practice of self-discipline is also essential in building a mind that is unshakable. In today's world where distractions are everywhere and instant gratification is often just a click away, practicing self-discipline is more important than ever. The Stoics taught that true strength lies in our ability to control our impulses, to stay focused on what truly matters, and to make choices that are aligned with our values, even when the world encourages us to do otherwise. Developing self-discipline means learning to master your desires, resist temptations, and stay committed to your long-term goals, regardless of how enticing short-term pleasures may seem. It's about having the mental toughness to prioritize what is meaningful and worthwhile over fleeting distraction. So, if you're ready to build a mind that can withstand the trials of life, the setbacks, the challenges, the obstacles, and the inevitable difficulties that we all face, then embracing the Stoic formula is the first step in transforming your mind into an impenetrable fortress. The Stoics provide us with a roadmap for mastering the art of living through hardship, discomfort, and chaos. Their teachings offer us a mental framework that, when practiced consistently, will help us cultivate an unstoppable force within, guided by wisdom, clarity, and purpose. This isn't just about surviving life's challenges, it's about thriving in the face of them. It's about rising above the noise, distractions, and pressures of the world and cultivating a mind that is rooted in something deeper, something stronger than anything external. By adopting the Stoic mindset, you can begin to transform your thoughts, emotions, and reactions and create a mental fortress that will serve you through every trial, every challenge, and every storm that life may bring. So if you're ready to take control of your mind and begin building the mental strength and resilience necessary to face life head-on, I encourage you to embrace the Stoic formula. Cultivate an unshakable mind that is not only capable of enduring life's difficulties, but also equipped to turn them into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. By doing so, you will create a life that is no longer determined by the whims of fate or the distractions of the world, but by your own inner strength, wisdom, and clarity. Let's dive into this transformative journey and begin building a mind that is truly unstoppable. Step 2. Kill the need for approval. One of the greatest mental barriers that hold people back from achieving inner strength is the insatiable need for approval from others. We live in a world that constantly reinforces the idea that our value is tied to how others perceive us. Whether it's seeking praise at work, waiting for likes on social media, or conforming to societal standards, we often find ourselves chasing validation from external sources. This reliance on the approval of others weakens our mental fortitude and compromises our ability to think clearly and act with purpose. To build an unstoppable mind, you must eliminate this need for external validation. This doesn't mean rejecting connection or collaboration with others. It simply means no longer allowing your self-worth to be determined by how others view you. The Stoics teach that the only opinion that truly matters is your own. Your self-respect, your sense of accomplishment, and your integrity should come from within, not from what others think of you. Think about how much mental energy we expend trying to win the approval of others. Whether it's agreeing with someone to fit in, altering our behavior to gain favor, or putting on a mask to appear a certain way, we are constantly working to meet external expectations. But this can quickly lead to burnout and dissatisfaction because no matter how much you try to please everyone, it's impossible to do so. There will always be someone who disagrees with you, criticizes your choices, or judges your actions. To free yourself from this cycle, start by recognizing that seeking approval from others is a form of self-betrayal. When you mold yourself to fit someone else's expectations, you are abandoning your authentic self. Your values, your decisions, and your actions must come from a place of integrity and self-awareness, not from the desire to be liked or admired. A powerful Stoic practice that can help in this regard is the habit of reflecting on what others truly think. The Stoics were known for encouraging people to ask themselves, what does this person's opinion truly matter in the grand scheme of my life? While it's natural to want to connect with others and receive acknowledgement, their approval should not dictate your sense of self-worth. Take, for example, a situation in which someone criticizes your work or challenges your ideas. It's easy to feel wounded and defensive in such moments, especially if you've invested a lot of effort into the project. But ask yourself, does this person's opinion actually reflect your abilities or your character? Or is it simply an external judgment that has no bearing on who you are or your mission in life? By asking these kinds of questions, you begin to detach your self-esteem from external validation and instead base it on your own standards and actions. Additionally, think about the consequences of constantly seeking approval. It's a never-ending cycle. As soon as you win the approval of one person, you might shift your focus to someone else, perpetuating the need for validation. This constant seeking of approval weakens your resolve and makes you more susceptible to the whims. In contrast, when you let go of the need to please everyone and instead focus on being true to yourself, you free up mental space to be creative, independent, and resilient in the face of challenges. By eliminating the need for approval, you empower yourself to make decisions based on what's truly important to you, rather than on what others think is best for you. You'll stop second-guessing yourself and start making bold moves, trusting your intuition and judgment. You'll no longer be a prisoner to the fleeting praise or criticism of others. Instead, you'll be driven by your own sense of purpose, aligning your actions with your personal principles. As you begin to embrace this freedom, your mind will grow stronger, more focused, and more unwavering. Your inner confidence will build, and you'll find yourself making decisions that are aligned with your true self, rather than seeking to appease others. This step is essential in your journey toward developing an unstoppable mind, one that stands firm in the face of judgment and remains resilient even when others' opinions shift. Let go of the need for validation, and you'll unlock the power of self-reliance and self-trust. With this newfound mental strength, you'll no longer be dependent on anyone else's approval to move forward in life, and you'll develop the unshakable mindset that is key to success and fulfillment. Step 3. Seek voluntary discomfort. In the pursuit of building an unstoppable mind, one of the most crucial steps is to embrace discomfort. It's natural to seek comfort and convenience in life. After all, who doesn't want to avoid pain, stress, and hardship? However, true mental fortitude is developed not through the avoidance of discomfort, but by actively seeking it out. The Stoics, particularly figures like Seneca and Epictetus, understood that voluntary discomfort is essential for cultivating resilience, discipline, and an unwavering mind. Seeking discomfort doesn't mean making life unnecessarily hard or putting yourself in harm's way. It's about pushing yourself beyond your current limits and embracing the challenges that will help you grow stronger. It's the practice of stepping outside your comfort zone in deliberate, controlled ways to toughen your mind and body. This can include physical challenges, emotional endurance, and mental toughness exercises. The idea is to expose yourself to discomfort in small, manageable doses so that you become accustomed to adversity and develop the capacity to handle greater challenges when they inevitably arise. The Stoics believed that hardship is not something to be feared, but rather something to be welcomed. They saw discomfort as an opportunity for growth, a chance to refine your character, and a way to detach from unnecessary desires and comforts that distract from what truly matters. Epictetus, for example, advocated for the practice of living without indulgences, such as luxurious food, fancy clothing, or lavish living, in order to build resilience and keep the mind sharp. The more we rely on comfort and luxury, the more we distance ourselves from the reality of life's challenges, and the less prepared we are for the inevitable hardships we will face. Voluntary discomfort can take many forms. In the physical realm, it could mean pushing yourself through a tough workout, fasting for a period of time, or doing something physically challenging that forces you to endure discomfort, like taking cold showers. These physical challenges can build a foundation of mental toughness, teaching you how to endure discomfort without becoming overwhelmed by it. You begin to realize that discomfort is not an enemy, but a teacher, showing you that you are stronger than you think. Mentally, seeking discomfort could involve taking on tasks that challenge your cognitive abilities, such as learning a difficult new skill, tackling an intellectually demanding project, or engaging in deep self-reflection. Emotional discomfort might involve confronting difficult emotions or having uncomfortable conversations with loved ones or colleagues. It's about leaning into situations that push you to grow, even if they feel unpleasant at first. The benefits of this practice are profound. By choosing voluntary discomfort, you begin to desensitize yourself to the fears and anxieties that often hold you back. The more you willingly expose yourself to difficult situations, the less power they hold over you. The discomfort that once felt overwhelming becomes just another part of your daily experience, something you can face with composure and resilience. Consider the process of training for a marathon. At first, running long distances may feel uncomfortable, and your mind may try to talk you out of continuing. However, through consistent practice and by pushing through the discomfort, your body adapts, and you become stronger, both physically and mentally. Similarly, when you face mental or emotional challenges head-on, you gradually become more resilient and less susceptible to stress, anxiety, and fear. The Stoics believed that by embracing discomfort, you free yourself from being a slave to your desires and fears. The more you seek voluntary discomfort, the less control those external factors have over your mind. You learn to respond to adversity with poise and strength, rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally. It's in the fire of discomfort that the true strength of your mind is forged. Ultimately, seeking voluntary discomfort teaches you that you are capable of far more than you think. It cultivates an unshakable sense of self-discipline and mental toughness, enabling you to confront challenges with courage, clarity, and resilience. Whether it's enduring a difficult situation at work, facing a personal fear, or undertaking a physical challenge, the practice of seeking discomfort allows you to continually expand your limits, building a mind that is unyielding in the face of adversity. By embracing discomfort, you not only grow stronger, but you also gain control over your mind and your circumstances. You stop seeking refuge in comfort and instead learn to find peace in the discomfort itself. The more you make discomfort a regular part of your life, the less it will intimidate you and the stronger your mind will become. This is a key step in building the unstoppable mind you are striving for. Step 4. Master the inner voice. The inner voice is a constant presence in our minds, shaping our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. It's the voice that whispers doubts when we face challenges, convinces us to procrastinate, or tells us we aren't good enough. The Stoics understood that this internal dialogue is a powerful force, and mastering it is essential for building an unstoppable mind. The voice inside your head can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy, depending on how you choose to control it. To master your inner voice, you must first become aware of it. Most people are unaware of the constant chatter in their minds, which can lead to negative patterns of thinking, anxiety, and self-doubt. The Stoics emphasized the importance of mindfulness, of observing your thoughts without attachment or judgment. When you become conscious of the inner dialogue, you gain the power to intervene and steer it in a direction that serves your greater goals. One of the first steps in mastering the inner voice is learning to separate your thoughts from your identity. Just because a thought pops into your mind doesn't mean it's true or that you have to act on it. Our inner voice often feeds us stories of fear, insecurity, and self-limiting beliefs. These thoughts may seem true in the moment, but the Stoics taught us that we are not our thoughts. We have the power to challenge and change them. Seneca, in his letters, frequently spoke about the importance of self-reflection and the need to control one's inner dialogue. He wrote that no man is free who is not master of himself. This means that if we cannot control the way we think, we are enslaved to our own fears, doubts, and irrational beliefs. By practicing self-awareness, we gain the ability to question and reframe our inner voice. Instead of allowing it to spiral into negativity or self-doubt, we can choose to replace those thoughts with affirmations of strength, confidence, and clarity. One practical way to begin mastering your inner voice is through the practice of cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing involves changing the way you interpret a situation. For example, when you face a challenge and your inner voice says, "This is too hard, I'll never succeed," you can reframe that thought into something more empowering. "This is difficult, but it's an opportunity to grow and become stronger. This simple shift in perspective can change the entire way you approach challenges, helping you to stay focused, calm, and confident in the face of adversity. Another technique the Stoics use to master the inner voice is the practice of self-talk. Positive self-talk is a powerful tool for cultivating resilience and a strong mindset. When you face setbacks or failures, instead of letting the inner voice turn critical or defeatist, use affirming language to reinforce your determination. For example, instead of thinking, "I failed, I'm not good enough," you could tell yourself, "I faced a challenge, I learned something, and I will keep moving forward." The Stoics also emphasize the importance of aligning your inner dialogue with your higher principles. The inner voice should not be driven by fleeting desires, external validation, or emotional impulses. Instead, it should be grounded in your values, virtues, and long-term goals. By doing so, you create an inner narrative that is both motivating and steady, one that helps you maintain focus and clarity, even when life gets chaotic. Mastering the inner voice also means learning to silence the negative self-talk that arises in moments of doubt. The voice that tells you that you're not capable, that you're unworthy, or that you should give up is a natural part of the human experience. However, the key is not to silence it with force or avoidance, but to confront it with reason and logic. When you hear these negative thoughts, ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is it based on truth? What would I say to a friend in this situation? By questioning the validity of these negative thoughts, you can stop them from taking root in your mind. In addition, meditation and mindfulness practices are powerful tools for gaining control over your inner voice. Regular meditation helps quiet the mind and create a space between stimulus and response, giving you the opportunity to choose how to respond to your thoughts. Through consistent practice, you can train your mind to be more disciplined and less reactive to negative inner chatter. Ultimately, mastering your inner voice is about cultivating a mindset of control, calm, and purpose. The Stoics believe that our happiness and peace of mind come not from external circumstances, but from the way we respond to those circumstances. By gaining mastery over your thoughts and self-talk, you can maintain inner peace, stay focused on what matters, and overcome any obstacles that come your way. When your inner voice is aligned with your highest goals and principles, it becomes a powerful force that propels you toward greatness rather than holding you back. Mastering your inner voice isn't something that happens overnight. It requires consistent effort, mindfulness, and the willingness to challenge your habitual patterns of thinking. But once you begin to control your inner dialogue, you'll find that your mind becomes more focused, resilient, and unshakable in the face of life's challenges. This is one of the most essential steps in building the unstoppable mind you seek. Step 5. Practice negative visualization. One of the most profound Stoic practices is negative visualization, the intentional act of imagining the worst possible scenario in any given situation. This concept may initially seem counterproductive, but the Stoics believe that by confronting potential hardships in our minds, we could better prepare for life's inevitable struggles. This technique not only builds resilience, but also allows us to cultivate gratitude for what we currently have. The idea behind negative visualization is not to dwell on the negative or wallow in fear, but rather to acknowledge the possibility of loss, failure, or hardship. By mentally rehearsing worst-case scenarios, you learn to accept them as part of the human experience, and in doing so, you reduce the anxiety and emotional distress they might cause when or if they actually occur. The Stoics saw this mental exercise as a way to align oneself with reality, rather than living in a fantasy of perpetual comfort. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus advocated for this practice by saying, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." By imagining the worst and coming to terms with the possibility of loss, whether it's the loss of health, loved ones, wealth, or success, we begin to break our attachments to things that are ultimately fleeting. This acceptance of impermanence allows us to focus on what we can control: our responses, our choices, and our character. For instance, imagine you're working hard on a personal project or business venture. Your mind might be filled with hopes and dreams about how things will go, but it's important to also recognize that failure is a possibility. Instead of fearing it, embrace it by considering what could go wrong. What if you lose clients? What if the project fails to generate the desired results? What if you face rejection? In visualizing these outcomes, you become mentally prepared to handle them with grace, knowing you've already considered the worst-case scenario. This mental preparation lowers the emotional toll of setbacks when they happen, and it helps you stay level-headed in the face of adversity. In addition to preparing for the inevitable challenges, negative visualization also enhances gratitude. When we mentally imagine the loss of what we currently have, be it our health, relationships, or material possessions, we start to appreciate them more deeply. We take less for granted and cherish the present moment. Rather than waiting for a loss to bring us awareness of its value, we proactively choose to recognize it in advance. By regularly practicing negative visualization, you begin to see the fragility of life and the preciousness of what you currently possess. One powerful example of this practice comes from Marcus Aurelius, who often reflected on the impermanence of life. He would remind himself that death is inevitable and the things he had could be taken away at any moment. While this might seem morbid to some, it was actually a source of strength for Marcus. By accepting the potential loss of anything, be it his position as emperor, his loved ones, or his health, he was able to embrace the present fully, without being paralyzed by fear or anxiety over losing what he had. Another practical way to apply negative visualization is through a daily or weekly reflection. Take a few minutes each day to imagine a worst-case scenario for something important in your life, whether it's a relationship, your career, or your health, and mentally rehearse how you would respond. Ask yourself, how would I handle this situation? What would I learn from it? What would be the positive aspects of overcoming this challenge? This exercise helps you stay calm and collected when real challenges arise, because you've already mentally prepared yourself for hardship. Importantly, negative visualization is not about dwelling on doom and gloom. It's about accepting that difficulties and loss are part of life. It is about learning to live with an open heart, unafraid of the hardships that could come our way. By envisioning the worst-case scenario and acknowledging that we cannot control everything, we free ourselves from the fear of the unknown. This practice enables you to approach each day with a sense of equanimity, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the inner strength to handle it. In a world where we often chase after perfection, security, and control, negative visualization is a powerful antidote to the unrealistic expectations we place on ourselves and our lives. It brings us back to reality, helping us focus on what truly matters and what we can control, rather than getting lost in fear of things we cannot. By embracing the worst, we paradoxically create space for greater peace and fulfillment. The Stoics believed that we should not wait for tragedy to strike to learn how to cope with it. Instead, we should proactively prepare our minds by imagining it. This practice of negative visualization helps us build resilience, appreciate what we have, and ultimately face life's challenges with a clear, calm, and unshakable mind. Step 6. Cut the noise. In the modern world, we are constantly bombarded by distractions, be it the constant stream of notifications on our phones, the noise of social media, or the never-ending barrage of opinions and information. In this cacophony, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. The Stoics, however, were keenly aware of the dangers of external distractions and the importance of maintaining inner clarity. To build an unstoppable mind, it is essential to cut out the noise and focus on what is most meaningful. The Stoics understood that while we cannot control the external world, we can control our response to it. Seneca, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, advised that we should become a stranger to the common herd and avoid becoming caught up in the drama and chaos that surrounds us. This doesn't mean isolating ourselves from others or withdrawing from the world. It means recognizing the difference between the things that are truly important and the things that are distractions. The noise in our lives often takes the form of things that we have no control over. This includes other people's opinions, the latest trends, or the constant pressure to keep up with everything happening around us. The Stoics taught that the more we get caught up in these external events and influences, the more we allow ourselves to be controlled by them. Instead, they urged us to focus on our own thoughts, actions, and principles, which are the only things we can truly govern. One of the most effective ways to cut the noise is through intentional simplicity. In practice, this means prioritizing what matters most and eliminating activities, habits, or even relationships that distract from your goals or peace of mind. For example, you might decide to limit your time on social media, avoid getting involved in gossip, or reduce the amount of time spent on trivial activities that don't contribute to your growth. This may seem difficult at first, but as you begin to make space in your life for more focused, purposeful actions, you'll find that the distractions begin to fade into the background. Cutting the noise also involves guarding your mental space. It's easy to allow yourself to be influenced by the opinions of others or the constant input from media and entertainment. But these sources of information can often lead to confusion, anxiety, or a loss of direction. Instead of allowing external influences to dictate your emotions or thoughts, Stoicism encourages us to develop the practice of quieting our minds. This can be done through meditation, journaling, or simply spending time in nature, activities that allow us to reconnect with ourselves and block out the noise. Another important aspect of cutting the noise is learning to say no. The Stoics valued their time and energy, understanding that we have a limited number of hours in each day. By saying no to unnecessary distractions, we are better able to devote ourselves to meaningful pursuits. This includes saying no to people, events, or obligations that do not align with your values or goals. When you start saying no to things that don't serve you, you'll be amazed at how much more space you create for what really matters. In addition, it's important to curate the information you expose yourself to. Not everything you hear or read deserves your attention. Just because something is trending or popular doesn't mean it's worth your time or mental energy. In fact, the constant influx of trivial information can cloud your judgment and distract you from your true purpose. Instead, choose to consume content that is enriching, thought-provoking, and aligned with your values. Whether it's books, podcasts, or conversations, make sure that the information you let in is intentional and beneficial to your growth. The benefits of cutting the noise are profound. By limiting distractions, you free up your mental and emotional energy for more important things. You begin to regain control over your life, as you are no longer subject to the whims of external events or the constant pressure to keep up with the world. You start living more deliberately and with purpose, focusing on the actions and principles that will lead to long-term fulfillment. Over time, this clarity allows you to make better decisions, maintain emotional balance, and stay true to your values even in the face of external chaos. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most notable Stoics, embodied this concept in his personal reflections. In his meditations, he frequently reminds himself to block out distractions and focus on what is in his power. He writes, "Take care not to be lost in the crowd of the unthinking." This call to resist being swept away by the noise of the masses speaks to the Stoic principle of personal sovereignty and the importance of maintaining one's inner calm amidst the external tumult. In practical terms, cutting the noise might involve creating specific rituals or habits to ensure that you remain focused. This could include setting aside time each day for reflection, scheduling periods of quiet in your day, or choosing to disconnect from technology regularly. Over time, as you consistently practice this discipline, you'll find that you are able to tune out distractions with greater ease and live a life that is more purposeful and focused on what truly matters. By cutting the noise, you begin to reclaim control over your life. You stop letting the world dictate your emotions and start directing your own path. This leads to greater mental clarity, less stress, and the ability to make decisions that align with your true values and goals. As you create a quieter, more focused environment in your mind and life, you'll find that your mental resilience grows and your ability to handle challenges becomes more robust. Step 7. Live by principle, not emotion. The Stoics were clear on one thing: our emotions, while natural, are often unreliable guides. Emotions arise from external events and internal judgments, and if we live by them, we allow ourselves to be at the mercy of circumstances beyond our control. Instead, they advocated for living by principle, consistent, rational, and morally sound principles that reflect our true values, rather than being driven by fleeting emotion. The Stoic approach to emotions is not about suppressing or denying them, but about understanding their transient nature and not letting them control our actions. Emotions like anger, fear, and joy are all part of the human experience, but the Stoics argued that it's not the emotions themselves that should dictate our behavior. Rather, it's our rational minds, guided by virtue, that should steer us. When faced with difficult situations or challenges, emotions can cloud judgment, leading us to act impulsively or irrationally. For example, fear can paralyze us, anger can cause us to lash out, and sorrow can make us give up. In contrast, living by principle means making decisions based on reason, ethics, and a clear sense of purpose, not reacting emotionally in the heat of the moment. The Stoics emphasize the importance of reflecting on what is truly under our control, our own actions and responses. We may not be able to control external events, but we can control how we choose to react to them. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reminds himself to remain calm and focused even when faced with adversity. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." To live by principle, we must first define what principles are most important to us. These principles should be grounded in virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. These are the guiding forces in Stoic thought, and they serve as a moral compass, helping us navigate the complexities of life. When we live by these principles, we are less likely to be swayed by momentary feelings, whether they are positive or negative. For instance, when facing a difficult decision, rather than letting fear drive your choices, you could lean on the principle of courage. When feeling frustrated with someone, instead of reacting with anger, you could lean on the principle of patience and understanding. In the face of setbacks, rather than succumbing to despair, you could live by the principle of perseverance and optimism. This shift in mindset empowers us to take control of our responses and act in accordance with our highest values. The process of living by principle starts with self-awareness. You must become attuned to your emotions, observing them without judgment. By noticing when an emotional reaction arises, you can pause and decide how to respond. This takes practice. The Stoics recommended reflecting daily on your actions and thoughts, reviewing where you've succeeded in adhering to your principles and where you may have faltered. This daily practice of reflection, known as the evening review, allows you to evaluate your behavior and make adjustments for the future. One powerful way to cultivate this ability is through journaling. Writing about your experiences can provide clarity and help you discern whether your actions were driven by emotion or by principle. As you become more accustomed to this introspective practice, you'll find that your ability to remain calm and rational in difficult situations improves. Over time, you'll make fewer decisions based on knee-jerk reactions and more decisions based on your true values and long-term goals. It's also important to recognize that living by principle doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring our emotions. It means acknowledging them, understanding where they come from, and choosing to act in a way that aligns with our core values, regardless of how we feel in the moment. For example, if you feel angry with someone, instead of acting on that anger, you might choose to approach the situation with compassion and understanding, using your principle of justice or fairness. As you continue to practice living by principle, you'll notice that your emotions become less overwhelming and less likely to control your decisions. You'll experience a sense of inner peace, because you know that your actions are not being dictated by external events or internal turmoil, but by the steady, guiding force of your principles. Living by principle also involves accepting that we will face moments of discomfort, adversity, and even failure. Life will not always go as planned, and we will encounter obstacles that test our resolve. However, when we live according to principles, we understand that these challenges are opportunities for growth, and that our ability to maintain our values in difficult times defines our character. As you continue on the path of living by principle, you'll develop an inner strength and resilience that can withstand even the harshest storms. By grounding your life in something greater than fleeting emotions, something steady and unwavering, you will build an unstoppable mind that is capable of facing any challenge with grace, clarity, and wisdom. The Stoic practice of living by principle is not easy, but it is essential for cultivating an unshakable mindset. It requires constant self-awareness, reflection, and a commitment to growth. Yet as you continue to make decisions based on your principles rather than your emotions, you will find that you are more grounded, more at peace, and more prepared to face the inevitable trials of life with strength and dignity. Step 8. Accept death, then live. The Stoics were unflinching in their view that death is an essential part of life. They believed that death is not something to fear, but rather something to acknowledge and accept as inevitable. This acceptance of death is not morbid or defeatist, but empowering. It is the key to truly living a meaningful and courageous life. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, wrote frequently about the importance of acknowledging the inevitability of death in his meditations. He understood that this awareness is crucial to living fully in the present. He reminded himself daily that life is short and unpredictable, writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By accepting the transient nature of life, the Stoics argued, we can free ourselves from the fear and anxiety that often accompany the unknown. When we accept the certainty of death, we begin to recognize the preciousness of life. We stop taking time and opportunities for granted, and we focus on what truly matters. In modern times, many people spend their lives avoiding thoughts of death, living in denial or fear. This fear robs them of the ability to truly embrace the present and to make the most of the time they have. Stoicism teaches that by reflecting on death regularly, we learn to live with greater purpose and urgency. The Stoic idea of memento mori, which translates to "remember that you will die," is a powerful practice. It is a reminder that death is always near, and that we cannot waste our time on things that do not matter. In a world full of distractions and superficial pursuits, this reminder brings clarity. It shifts our focus away from the petty concerns of daily life and towards what is truly important: our values, our relationships, and our growth. Rather than being paralyzed by the thought of death, the Stoics used it as a motivator. They recognized that by understanding and accepting death, they were freeing themselves from the fear that holds so many people back. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of making the wrong decision. All of these fears diminish when we acknowledge that death is inevitable and that we have no control over when it will come. In fact, the Stoics believe that an understanding of death should inspire us to live more fully. The fact that our time on earth is finite should spur us to take action, to pursue our goals, and to live with intention. We should not waste time on trivial matters or procrastinate because we fear failure. Instead, we should take bold actions, knowing that our time is limited and that every moment is an opportunity to live in alignment with our values and principles. This acceptance of death also encourages us to practice gratitude. When we are aware that life is temporary, we start to appreciate the simple things, the beauty of nature, the joy of spending time with loved ones, and the small victories we achieve every day. We become less focused on accumulating wealth, status, or material possessions, and more focused on cultivating inner peace, contentment, and meaningful relations. The Stoics also taught that when we accept death, we can embrace life's challenges with resilience. Death is the ultimate reminder that we will face hardship, loss, and suffering. But these challenges are part of the human experience, and they are what shape us into stronger, wiser individuals. When we stop fearing death, we start embracing life with all its highs and lows. We see every challenge as an opportunity for growth, knowing that it is only through overcoming adversity that we build our character and fortitude. To practice the Stoic concept of accepting death, consider reflecting on it regularly, whether through meditation, journaling, or philosophical study. It can be uncomfortable at first, but over time, you will come to realize that this reflection is not about dwelling on sadness or loss. It's about embracing the impermanence of life and using it as a powerful tool to live with greater clarity and intention. One way to incorporate this practice into your daily routine is by starting each day with a simple thought: today could be my last. This isn't meant to be morbid, but rather to remind you to live fully and with purpose. It encourages you to focus on what truly matters and to approach each day with gratitude, humility, and a sense of urgency. When you accept death, you begin to see life in a new light. You no longer waste time on things that don't matter. You stop letting fear, doubt, and anxiety hold you back. You stop postponing your dreams, and instead, you start taking action toward them with the understanding that time is precious. Most importantly, you stop living for the approval of others and start living for your own principles. By accepting death, you free yourself from the constraints of fear, regret, and the uncertainty of the future. You gain a deeper sense of peace because you understand that your time here is limited and that what truly matters is how you spend it. You are no longer shackled by the fear of death, but liberated by the knowledge that you have the power to live fully, regardless of how much time you have left. This mindset is the foundation for building an unstoppable mind, a mind that is focused, resilient, and unshaken by external circumstances. In embracing death, you paradoxically learn to live better, stronger, and with greater purpose. You stop wasting time on things that do not serve you and instead dedicate yourself to what truly matters. This is the Stoic way, the way to live a life that is not only more fulfilling, but also truly unstoppable. Step 9. Build your inner citadel. The final step in building an unstoppable mind, according to Stoic philosophy, is to construct what is known as the inner citadel, a metaphorical fortress of mental and emotional resilience. This inner citadel is your core, the part of you that remains unshaken no matter the external circumstances or challenges you face. It is your foundation, your center of strength, and it is developed through consistent practice and mindfulness. The Stoics believe that the most important element in life is not external success, wealth, or recognition, but the cultivation of internal strength. This is because, no matter what happens in life, whether we face triumphs or tragedies, our internal state is the one thing that we can control. The world around us may be unpredictable, and we may experience pain, suffering, or loss, but if we build a strong inner citadel, we will remain steadfast. The first step in building your inner citadel is to establish a set of core principles. These principles should align with your values and what you believe is truly important in life. Stoicism encourages living according to virtue, with a focus on wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. By grounding yourself in these principles, you create a solid framework upon which to build your inner strength. Once you've identified your core principles, the next step is to consistently live by them. This requires continuous self-reflection and self-discipline. You must check in with yourself regularly, asking, "Am I living in accordance with my values?" The Stoics believed that by making decisions based on virtue rather than emotion or impulse, we strengthen our minds and develop emotional resilience. This means making choices that may not always feel easy in the moment, but align with your higher purpose and long-term goals. Your inner citadel is also built by practicing self-control and moderation. Stoics recognize that emotions like anger, jealousy, and fear can cloud judgment and lead to destructive behaviors. By learning to control these emotions, you prevent them from weakening your resolve. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions, but rather understanding them and not allowing them to dictate your actions. The Stoic practice of mindfulness is key to this process. By regularly observing your thoughts and reactions, you gain greater control over your emotional responses, strengthening the walls of your citadel. Another key element of the inner citadel is the cultivation of inner peace. The Stoics believe that peace of mind comes from accepting things as they are, rather than trying to control or change things that are beyond our power. This practice is central to the concept of amor fati, or love of fate, which encourages us to embrace every experience, both good and bad, as part of the process of life. When you accept that everything that happens is an opportunity for growth, you build a stronger, more resilient mindset. Your inner citadel also requires you to develop the ability to be self-sufficient. In a world that constantly pushes us to seek approval, validation, and material success, it can be easy to lose sight of your own inner resources. The Stoics urged people to find happiness and fulfillment within themselves, rather than relying on external sources. This means that your sense of well-being must not be dependent on others' opinions or the approval of society. When you build your inner citadel, you cultivate an internal sense of worth that does not fluctuate with external circumstances. Another essential component of the inner citadel is the ability to endure hardship with grace. Life is filled with challenges, and setbacks are inevitable. The Stoics did not shy away from hardship. Instead, they embraced it as an essential part of life's journey. By facing difficulties with courage and equanimity, you build your resilience and fortitude. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to strengthen your citadel, making you more impervious to future setbacks. Building an inner citadel also means prioritizing mental and physical well-being. The Stoics believe that a healthy body supports a healthy mind and vice versa. Therefore, taking care of your physical health through exercise, proper nutrition, and sufficient rest is an essential part of strengthening your inner fortress. When you feel physically strong and energized, you are better equipped to handle life's challenges with mental clarity and focus. One of the most important practices for fortifying your inner citadel is journaling. Marcus Aurelius himself kept a daily journal where he wrote down his reflections, struggles, and observations. This practice helped him maintain focus on his principles and stay grounded in Stoic philosophy. Journaling allows you to track your progress, reflect on your behavior, and reinforce your commitment to your values. It also provides an outlet for emotional expression, which is crucial for mental well-being. Finally, building your inner citadel requires the development of a strong sense of purpose. Having a clear sense of what you are working toward gives your life direction and meaning. This purpose will guide your decisions, help you stay focused during times of adversity, and give you the strength to keep going when things get tough. The Stoics believed that a life without purpose is a life that is easily swayed by external forces. By building a strong sense of purpose, you reinforce the walls of your inner citadel, making it less susceptible to external disruption. In summary, building your inner citadel is a lifelong process that involves aligning your actions with your values, practicing self-control, embracing hardship, and developing mental and emotional resilience. It requires consistent effort and reflection, but the rewards are immense. When your inner citadel is strong, you become impervious to external chaos, and you are able to live a life of peace, purpose, and unwavering focus. Through the Stoic practices outlined in this step, you will have laid the foundation for a mind that is unstoppable, a mind that is unwavering in the face of adversity and clear in its pursuit of purpose. With your inner citadel fortified, you are ready to tackle life's challenges with strength and grace, no matter what comes your way. In conclusion, Stoic philosophy offers us not merely a set of abstract principles, but a profoundly practical and enduring framework for developing an unstoppable mind. It equips us with the mental tools needed to navigate life's trials with emotional resilience, unshakable strength, and an unwavering sense of clarity. Each of the Stoic teachings, from recognizing what is truly within our control to constructing our own inner citadel, serves as a blueprint for mental fortitude and peace. These principles are not just ancient teachings from philosophers of a distant past. They are timeless wisdom, rooted in the human condition that resonates deeply in our modern world, which is often filled with distractions, negativity, and the constant pressure of external demand. The Stoics encourage us to focus inward, to examine the one thing we can always control, our thoughts, emotions, and actions, and to liberate ourselves from the turmoil of the external world. They teach us that true freedom comes not from controlling or altering the world around us, but from mastering our responses, attitudes, and perception. This inward focus is not about withdrawal or escape from reality. Rather, it is about acknowledging the chaos outside while remaining anchored in our inner strength, clarity, and sense of purpose. By living in alignment with our deepest values, we can achieve a profound sense of peace that does not depend on the fluctuations of life's external circumstances. As you begin this transformative journey toward cultivating an unstoppable mind, it is vital to understand that this process is not a finite destination, but rather a lifelong practice. It is not something you accomplish overnight, nor is it a one-time fix to problems that seem insurmountable. Building an unstoppable mind requires a deep commitment to continuous growth, dedicated self-reflection, and above all, a willingness to face discomfort head-on. The Stoic path calls for you to confront difficulties, not as obstacles, but as opportunities to refine your character and fortify your mental resilience. In embracing discomfort and uncertainty, you transform them from threats into powerful tools for personal development and growth. The journey is not an easy one. No philosophy or practice worth adopting ever is. But the rewards of following the Stoic teachings are invaluable. The Stoic path leads to a type of freedom that transcends the external world. It is the freedom to remain calm and centered in the face of chaos. The freedom to stay grounded in your principles, even as the world around you shifts and changes. And the freedom to approach every challenge with a sense of purpose and determination, knowing that your mental and emotional resilience will guide you through any storm. In today's world, so many people ignore these essential Stoic principles, only to find themselves caught in the whirlwind of modern life, struggling with their mental and emotional states. They turn to external sources for validation, seeking happiness in material gain, fleeting pleasures, or the approval of others. Yet, when life inevitably shifts and the circumstances they've relied on begin to crumble, they realize, often too late, that true peace and stability must come from within. That's where Stoicism comes in. It teaches us that our mental and emotional well-being is not something we can afford to neglect or take for granted. It is a foundation that must be actively built and reinforced each day, much like a fortress that requires constant upkeep to remain strong and unyielding. By practicing these Stoic principles, you are not merely building an emotional shield against the world's uncertainties. You are laying the groundwork for a life of purpose, fulfillment, and meaning. This foundation will serve you in every area of life, whether it's in your personal relationships, your career, your pursuit of meaningful goals, or in your ability to face adversity with a calm and steady mind. By embracing the Stoic worldview, you are choosing to cultivate a mindset that allows you to approach every aspect of life with strength, dignity, and clarity. So, take these Stoic teachings to heart. Start by identifying the things you can control and letting go of the things that are beyond your reach. It is easy to get caught up in trying to change circumstances outside of ourselves, but Stoicism teaches us that our energy is better spent on mastering ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions, our reactions. This practice of focusing inward is not a rejection of the external world. Rather, it is a recognition that the only true power we possess lies in our ability to control how we respond to the world around us. Embrace discomfort as a valuable tool for growth. When you face challenges, don't shy away from them. Instead, approach them with the mindset that each struggle is an opportunity to learn, to strengthen your resolve, and to develop the inner fortitude that will carry you through life's most difficult moments. Remember, Stoicism is not about avoiding hardship, but about facing it with grace, resilience, and a deep understanding of your inner power. With time and consistent practice, you will find that your mind becomes a powerful fortress, resilient, unshaken, and impervious to the turbulence of the world around you. No matter what life throws your way, you will remain calm, composed, and centered. You will stand firm in your principles and respond to adversity with a clarity and purpose that others will admire. The unstoppable mind is one that does not bend or break under pressure. It simply adapts, evolves, and strengthens in the face of every challenge. While the world around us will continue to change, whether through shifting societal norms, technological advancements, or the challenges we face in our personal lives, the one thing that remains constant is the power of an unstoppable mind. The mental and emotional resilience that Stoic philosophy cultivates is timeless. It allows us to remain steady amidst the uncertainties and turbulence of life. With each Stoic principle you embrace, you build a life that is anchored not in external factors, but in your inner strength and purpose. As you refine your ability to master your thoughts, emotions, and reactions, you will find that your life becomes more purposeful, focused, and aligned with the deeper values that drive you. Remember, this journey is not about attaining perfection. It's about progress. Small, incremental steps that accumulate over time to create profound transformation. Every moment spent practicing these principles, every obstacle faced with the Stoic mindset, is a step toward becoming the best version of yourself. The mind that you are building is not just resilient, it is unstoppable. It is a mind that remains unshaken in the face of adversity, unyielding to the trials of life, and always focused on the higher path of growth and self-improvement. So as you continue forward, remember that each day is an opportunity to deepen your practice and strengthen the foundation of your unstoppable mind. Embrace the Stoic teachings fully, and you will discover that your life is no longer determined by the whims of fate or the pressure of the external world. Instead, you will live a life of intentionality, clarity and inner peace, guided by the unwavering strength of your mind. If this message resonated with you and you feel inspired to start or continue on your own journey toward building an unstoppable mind, I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. By sharing this wisdom with others, you help spread the power of Stoic philosophy and create a community of like-minded individuals who are dedicated to self-mastery and personal growth. Together, we can continue to learn, grow, and cultivate the mental and emotional strength that will carry us through whatever life has in store.